Hello everyone and good Erev Shabbos as we look forward to Shabbos Parshat Bamidbar. Before I begin the video Dvar Torah, I want to thank our two sponsors this week, the anonymous sponsor Yechi Reuven, who's sponsoring as a merit that Hashem should remove the pandemic from the entire world, Hasaras Magifa Zume Aleinu, and to Maris and Joyce Nagar, who are sponsoring in memory of Maris's father Mordechai, the Moshe Vasar, whose yahrzeit is Sunday. Of course, the big news of this week and the topic of discussion is that the governor has begun phase 1 of reopening Massachusetts, and it is now legal for houses of worship to open under certain conditions. And the discussion, of course, of the Young Israel of Brookline and other shows of our plans. An email went out yesterday that outlines our very careful, safe, thoughtful, and slow opening that will begin on June 1st, and you can see there for details. But I'd like to share with you some Torah thoughts to present to you how I have been thinking about these issues, these very difficult issues, and perhaps for you as a framework to think about them as well. We all know that other than the 3 cardinal sins, if there's a risk to a person's life, he or she is not obligated and is forbidden to risk their life by observing one of the mitzvahs of the Torah, and certainly that includes coming to daven in a shul, to hear the reading of the Torah, to observe any of the holidays. But it is important to know that this is not just a special dispensation, that if people would be required to risk their lives, either no one would live or no one would keep the Torah. Nor is it just a particular halacha learned out from some verse, but rather this is a core Torah value, part of a fundamental Torah perspective. When the Ram writes in Hilchos Shabbos in the 2nd chapter that a risk to a person's life overrides the laws of Shabbos, he writes, Shneimar, as the verse states, Asher ya'aseh osam hadam v'chai behem. These are the statutes that a person should fulfill to live by them. But not to die by them. From here you learn, the ways of the Torah are not meant to be vengeful, destructive, dangerous, harmful. They're meant to bring mercy and kindness and peace to the world. And the heretics that say that this is breaking Shabbos, even to save someone's life, regarding them, the verse says, Gam ani nasati lachem, I have given to you, chukim lo tovim, statutes that are not good, umishpatim lo yechu behem, and laws through which you cannot live. The Torah is meant to be a source of life, also of mercy and kindness and peace, but a source of life. If the Torah is turned into something that risks life, that harms lives, that is a fundamental perversion of the Torah. The Torah is meant to bring life, even physical life, enhance physical life, because it is ultimately the source of the true life, of our spiritual lives. Eitz Chaim Hid is a tree of life. Kihem Chayin of Orech Yameinu. These, the words of the Torah, the mitzvos, they are our lives. Without the Torah, without mitzvos, without connection to Hashem, we would not have life. We would not be spiritually alive. And just as the Torah is a source of spiritual life, a reflection of that, it is also meant to be a source of healthy, good, wholesome physical life. And to risk turning the Torah, the observance of the Torah, into something other than that, perverts the very essence of the Torah. There's a fascinating halacha. The Gemara says that if unfortunately a baby is ill and the bris must be delayed past the 8th day, we of course cannot perform the bris, the circumcision, until the doctors say it is okay. But even after the doctors say it is okay, the doctors say it is totally medically safe to perform the circumcision today. Say the baby's a month old. The Gemara says that the halacha requires, the rabbis instituted, that you are obligated to wait 1 more week as a buffer to make sure, even though the doctor said it's okay. Now, this is very troubling, surprising, and the classical commentaries don't deal with this problem. But why do you need to wait for a week? If someone is worried, they don't know, they have some issue, is it medically safe for them to swim? And the doctors originally say, no, you cannot swim. But once the doctors say you're now safe to swim, you can swim. There's no halachic requirement to wait another week to be sure. Why is there a requirement to wait a week to perform the bris? If anything, for the bris, there's a commandment. There's an obligation. They must perform the bris. How can we delay it? Why would we delay it? Rosh Zalman Auerbach, the great posek of the last half of the 20th century, a tzaddik who lived in Yerushalayim, he explained as follows. He said that perhaps counterintuitively, the rabbis felt that we must be more concerned, play it more safe when it comes to performing a mitzvah, the bris milah, than permitting other regular activities. And it's for this reason. Because if, let's say, the person goes and swims and something happens to the person, doctors are humans, every human sometimes makes mistakes. And maybe the person really was not yet ready to swim. It wasn't safe. And chas v'shalom, something happens, he is hurt, or life is lost. It will be tragic. It will be tragic that there was that accident when the person was swimming. But if, let's say, the doctor makes a mistake, or people are in a little bit too much of a rush because they want to do the mitzvah, and they perform the bris milah, and it was a little bit too early, and something bad happens, that will be infinitely worse. Because then it's not just a regular activity that mistakenly was a danger and harmed someone. The Torah itself, the mitzvah, the bris milah, will have caused pain. Practically now people will be scared to get a bris milah. They'll be mad at the Torah, mad at the rabbis. But more fundamentally, then the Torah has been turned into a nakama, as the Rambam says, into something that is destructive. And that is the opposite of the very essence of the Torah, to be a source of life. And so we are in a very difficult position. On the one hand, we cannot rush. And in my humble opinion, and certainly just following the teachings and rulings of my Rebbeim, as was published the rulings of Rav Hershel Schachter, of Mordechai Willig, of Meir Tversky, has a letter you can find on the internet, to rush to do any mitzvah under the possible concern of pikuach nefesh is wrong. Whether or not commenting on what any particular person or shul is doing. But if there's a sense of rushing into it, that certainly is wrong. The rabbis instituted we wait a week to perform the bris milah. But how to find the right balance? The rabbi said wait a week for bris milah. We're obviously not saying here a week necessarily is the right buffer amount of time. Because on the one hand, we are yearning. The Torah is our life, our spiritual life. Kihem chayenu. It is difficult to live without, especially those who are used to davening every day, to coming to shiurim, to davening on Shabbos. Obviously, the aspect of the community gathering together is beautiful, as part of a Torah life. So we want our spiritual life, and we do not have our full spiritual life right now. But on the other hand, the Torah cannot be turned into something which becomes an akama, which becomes vengeful, which becomes dangerous even to our physical lives. And so how do we find the right balance? How do we chart the right path? That is not an easy thing. And anyone who claims to think that is easy does not understand the issues. And so hopefully we have presented to you a thoughtful plan. And I thank the leadership of the shul, Lenny and Joan. I thank especially Dr. Adam Berman, who is the chair of the COVID task force at the Young Israel, and the entire task force. Adam especially has given so much of his time and expertise. And through collaboration, of course, there are always differences of opinions, but through collaboration, through the wisdom of seeking the advice of others, of working together as a group, hopefully we have put forward a plan that is thoughtful, that is safe, that will be executed well. And we hope that Hashem will grant us wisdom in these very difficult decisions, and that He will protect us, and that we will be able to observe the Torah. As the verse says, Asher Ya'aseh Osam Hadam V'chai Behem, that we shall perform Hashem's mitzvos and live by them in every sense of the meaning of that phrase. They shall grant us life, spiritual and physical life. And Hashem should bless us with what the Rambam says are the characteristics of the Torah. Rachamim, v'chesed, v'shalom. He should grant us all, our community, the entire Jewish people, the entire world, mercy, kindness, peace, and of course, life. Good Shabbos, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.